Officer Ryan Callahan was entirely unaware of the situation he had stumbled into. Within the subsequent 11 minutes, he would face the loss of his position, his retirement benefits, and his entire professional path. The individual standing behind the pharmacy counter had dedicated 3 years to legal studies, with a specific focus on cases mirroring this scenario. She possessed complete knowledge of every federal statute he was poised to infringe upon. Furthermore, the surveillance cameras mounted above were capturing every detail with exceptional clarity in 4K resolution. This encounter was not destined to be another typical demand for information, where an individual, feeling pressured, would reluctantly surrender details they were not obligated to provide. Instead, this was set to become an exemplary demonstration of constitutional rights, with the entire exchange meticulously preserved on video. Before we delve further into this remarkable account, I have a query for you. From your current vantage point, in which country or state are you observing this narrative? Please share your location in the comments section below. And if you find stories about individuals who champion their rights and possess a strong understanding of the law to be valuable, I encourage you to subscribe by clicking the designated button. This unfolding story is about to become quite dramatic, and you will not want to miss any part of it. Thank you. Erica Johnson, at 34 years of age, had been a fully licensed pharmacist for 8 years. However, she was not an ordinary pharmacist. Following 4 years of practice and witnessing the frequent targeting of pharmacies by law enforcement for exploratory investigations, she made the decision to pursue further education. She enrolled in law school on a part-time basis while continuing her professional duties, dedicating 3 arduous years to the study of health law, privacy regulations, and constitutional protections. She graduated with academic distinction and successfully passed the bar examination on her initial attempt. She did not pursue a career as a practicing attorney. It was unnecessary. She returned to her pharmacy work, but now she was equipped with an asset that most pharmacists lacked: a comprehensive grasp of the legal parameters governing the interactions between law enforcement and healthcare providers. She was intimately familiar with HIPAA regulations. She understood the Fourth Amendment protections applicable to businesses. She knew precisely when law enforcement officers were permitted and prohibited from accessing patient information, and she recognized that many officers exploited intimidation tactics and exploited public ignorance of these laws to obtain information to which they were not legally entitled. Her pharmacy was situated in a diverse community within Seattle, Washington. It was an independently owned, small-scale establishment not affiliated with any large corporate chain. Erica was the owner. She supervised a team comprising 3 additional pharmacists and 5 pharmacy technicians. The pharmacy served an average of 300 patients daily. A significant portion of these patients hailed from underserved demographics. Many relied on medications for chronic health conditions. A great number navigated the intricate complexities of the healthcare system on a daily basis. Erica regarded patient privacy with the utmost seriousness. This commitment stemmed not only from legal mandates but also from her profound understanding that her patients entrusted her with their most intimate health details. Some were undergoing treatment for HIV. Others were managing mental health conditions. Some were participating in hormone therapy. Some were engaged in addiction recovery programs, utilizing medications such as Suboxone. For Erica, this was not merely data. These were real individuals whose lives could be irrevocably altered if their medical information fell into the wrong hands. On that particular Tuesday afternoon in October, the pharmacy experienced a period of relative quiet. A few patrons were perusing the aisles. Erica was occupied at the pharmacy counter, reviewing a prior authorization request for a patient's medication related to diabetes. The chimes above the main entrance announced the arrival of Officer Ryan Callahan. Ryan Callahan, 42 years of age, was a seasoned officer with 15 years of service in the Seattle Police Department. He was assigned to the Narcotics Division and had garnered a reputation for his aggressive investigative methods. Defense attorneys were familiar with his tendency to cut corners, make presumptions, and occasionally overstep legal boundaries in his pursuit of what he perceived as the greater good. While he had faced several complaints throughout his career, none had resulted in significant disciplinary action. He was accustomed to people complying with his directives. He was accustomed to his badge facilitating access. He was accustomed to intimidation proving effective. Callahan proceeded directly to the pharmacy counter. He did not offer a courteous introduction. He did not inquire if it was an opportune moment. He simply declared that he was conducting an investigation and required access to security footage and patient records. Erica looked up from her computer and immediately grasped the nature of the situation. A fishing expedition. "Officer, I am Erica Johnson, the head pharmacist and owner of this establishment," she stated, her tone professional and composed. "Could you please specify the nature of your investigation?" Callahan's response was evasive. He vaguely mentioned reports of suspicious activity and the necessity of reviewing recent transactions. He employed the term suspicious as if it carried significant legal weight. Erica recognized its insignificance in this context. A brief question for all our viewers. Have you ever encountered an authority figure attempting to coerce you into an action you knew to be unlawful? Please respond with a yes or no in the comments. Callahan leaned forward, resting both hands on the counter. His posture was intended to be intimidating, a tactic he had employed countless times with predictable success. Individuals typically became flustered, retreated, and chose to cooperate rather than risk perceived repercussions. Erica did not reciprocate the posture. She maintained direct eye contact. She simply waited. "Madame, let me be unequivocally clear," Callahan stated, his voice lowering but hardening. "I am conducting an official police investigation. Failing to cooperate with a police investigation constitutes obstruction. I doubt you wish to be charged with obstruction." There it was. The threat. The veiled implication that non-compliance would lead to criminal charges. It was a bluff, and Erica recognized it as such, though many would not. Most would hear obstruction and be overcome with panic. Erica's response was measured. "Officer Callahan, I can observe your badge number is 2847. I am not obstructing anything. I am adhering to federal law. If you possess a warrant or a court order, I will comply without delay. However, I am unable to contravene HIPAA regulations based solely on your request." Callahan's expression shifted. "You know, in my 15 years, I've interacted with numerous pharmacies. Most individuals understand that cooperation simplifies matters for everyone, yet there are always a few who believe they possess superior intellect and judgment." Erica perceived the shift in his demeanor, the underlying insinuation. "I do not believe I am more intelligent than anyone else, officer," Erica replied calmly. "I am simply following the established legal framework, the same framework applicable to every pharmacy in this city." "Indeed. Well, perhaps where you originate from, matters are handled differently," Callahan remarked, his voice now carrying a distinct edge. "However, here, we anticipate cooperation with law enforcement. We expect deference." "Where I come from, officer," Erica reiterated, her voice remaining steady, though her gaze sharpened. "I am from Seattle, born and raised, and respect is reciprocal. I respect your position, which is why I am being explicit about legal requirements. I am requesting that you respect mine by following the proper procedures." The pharmacy had fallen remarkably silent. The few customers who had been browsing had observed the unfolding confrontation and were watching from a distance. One of the pharmacy technicians, a young black woman named Shanice, had positioned herself strategically to witness all that was transpacing, and the security cameras were documenting every second. Callahan now registered the presence of his audience. This seemed to provoke him further, intensifying his anger rather than fostering caution. "Do you know what your problem is?" Callahan asserted, pointing a finger at Erica. "Individuals like you arrive here, establish these small businesses, and presume the rules are not applicable to you. You believe that because you possess a degree, you can condescend to those who have been safeguarding this community for 15 years. "Individuals like me," Erica responded softly. "What exactly do you mean by that, officer?" "You know precisely what I mean," Callahan retorted. "I witness it frequently. Your people arrive, set up shop in our neighborhoods, and suddenly you're experts on everything. Meanwhile, We are the ones confronting the genuine challenges here. Our neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods, Erica repeated. Officer, this is my neighborhood. I reside 4 blocks from here. I serve this community. These are my patients you are referring to. One of the customers, an elderly white gentleman, interjected from near the vitamin aisle. Officer, she is merely performing her duties. She is an excellent pharmacist. I have been a patron for 2 years. Callahan pivoted sharply towards him. Sir, I must ask you to step back. This matter does not concern you. Actually, Callahan stated, turning back to Erica, his face flushed. Since you are determined to be uncooperative, I believe it is necessary for me to conduct a comprehensive inspection of this facility, to ensure everything is in compliance with regulations, to verify that all your medications are accounted for. You see, in these neighborhoods, we frequently uncover all manner of discrepancies when we conduct thorough examinations. Do you believe Erica was justified in her persistent resistance? Share your thoughts in the comments. This represented a new approach. If he could not obtain the records through one avenue, he would attempt another, fabricating a pretext of a safety inspection to gain access to the pharmacy. It was transparent and exhibited desperation. Erica did not falter. Code violations fall under the purview of the Washington State Department of Health, not local law enforcement, she stated. Our pharmacy underwent inspection by the Board of Pharmacy just 6 weeks ago, and we are in complete compliance. If you have specific concerns regarding pharmacy operations, you are welcome to file a complaint with the appropriate regulatory agency, but you do not possess the authority to conduct an inspection without proper regulatory authorization. Callahan's hand moved towards his radio. This was another intimidation tactic, implying he might summon backup, escalate the situation, and create further difficulties for Erica. Erica noted the movement. She had witnessed such gestures before in different contexts. It was the telltale physical manifestation of someone who had exhausted their options. Officer, before you initiate any communication, I wish to be perfectly clear about the circumstances at hand, Erica stated, her voice unwavering and professional. You entered my pharmacy without a warrant or court order. You demanded access to protected health information. When I articulated the legal prerequisites, you threatened me with criminal charges. When that failed to yield the desired outcome, you claimed the necessity of inspecting the premises under a different jurisdictional authority. All of this is being meticulously recorded by our security system, and there are multiple witnesses present. Should you persist with this course of action, I will have no alternative but to submit a formal complaint to your department and potentially initiate civil litigation for violations of HIPAA and Fourth Amendment protections. The ensuing silence was palpable. Callahan remained frozen, his hand still near his radio, his face crimson with fury, yet unmistakably comprehending the magnitude of his miscalculations. He had approached what he anticipated would be a straightforward intimidation scenario, only to encounter an individual possessing a more profound understanding of the law and the courage to exercise it. I shall return with the appropriate documentation, Callahan finally declared, attempting to salvage some semblance of dignity. I look forward to receiving it, Erica replied. An officer, when you do return, kindly provide advance notice. We serve a considerable number of patients, and I wish to minimize any disruption to their care. Callahan turned and exited the pharmacy without uttering another word. The door chimed softly as it closed behind him. The customers who had been observing slowly resumed their browsing. Shanice approached the counter, her eyes wide with astonishment. Dr. Johnson, that was absolutely remarkable. I have never witnessed anyone address a police officer in such a manner. Erica offered a faint smile, devoid of any sense of triumph, only a profound sense of relief that the immediate confrontation had concluded. I simply understand the law, she stated matter-of-factly, and I take my patient's privacy extremely seriously. However, the matter was far from resolved, not by a considerable margin. Immediately following Callahan's departure, Erica took 2 crucial steps. Firstly, she secured all the surveillance footage from the encounter and saved it to multiple secure digital locations. Her legal training had instilled in her the awareness that evidence could be compromised or disappear, so she ensured such a possibility was negated. Secondly, she contacted the pharmacy's legal counsel, David Park, a specialist in healthcare law who had been providing counsel to the pharmacy for several years. David listened intently as Erica recounted the events and requested she transmit the security footage to him. He reviewed it once and promptly contacted her. "Erica, this is a textbook violation of civil rights," he stated. He confirmed that the officer lacked any legal basis for his demands or threats. "You handled it impeccably, but we need to be proactive. He will be incensed, and angry police officers sometimes return with reinforcements." Erica understood the implication. She inquired about his recommended course of action. "File a formal complaint with the Seattle PD immediately," David advised. "We will meticulously document everything that transpired while the details are fresh in everyone's minds. Furthermore, we will issue a formal notification to the department's legal counsel detailing the violations and putting them on notice, and we must prepare for the potential for this officer to seek retribution." Over the subsequent 48 hours, Erica and David meticulously prepared a comprehensive complaint. This was not a simple form but a detailed legal document that systematically outlined every infraction, cited all applicable statutes, and included time-stamped still images extracted from the security footage. The complaint comprised 12 pages and was accompanied by several exhibits. It was formally submitted to the Seattle Police Department's Office of Police Accountability on Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, the complaint had reached the desk of Captain Lisa Morales, who held supervisory authority over Officer Callahan's unit. Captain Morales, a 20-year veteran who had ascended through the ranks, possessed a reputation for upholding accountability with utmost seriousness. She reviewed the security footage, read the complaint, and immediately recognized the gravity of the situation. She summoned Callahan to her office that same day. "Do you wish to explain what transpired at Johnson's Pharmacy on Tuesday?" she inquired, her tone indicating the seriousness of the discussion. Callahan attempted to minimize the incident. He stated he was following up on a credible lead that the pharmacist was being uncooperative and that she was impeding his investigation. He omitted any mention of the specific threats he had issued. He failed to acknowledge the absence of a warrant or any legal authority. He presented himself as a dedicated officer performing his duties, hindered by an uncooperative civilian. Morales allowed him to conclude his account, then rotated her computer monitor so Callahan could view it. The security footage was playing, complete with audio. "Observe this, and then reiterate precisely what occurred," she instructed. Callahan watched. The shift in his facial expression revealed the precise moment he grasped the severity of the situation. The footage undeniably captured every detail: his vague justifications, his menacing threats, his attempted intimidation tactics, his unsubstantiated claim regarding code violations, and his racially charged remarks about "your people in our neighborhoods." All of it was laid bare. Once the footage concluded, Morales posed a singular, pointed question. "Did you possess a warrant, a court order, or any form of legal authorization to request that patient information?" Callahan hesitated before responding. "No." "Did you threaten her with charges of obstruction for adhering to federal privacy law?" A more prolonged pause ensued. "Yes, but I thought—" "You thought what?" Morales interrupted, her voice sharp with disbelief. "You assumed HIPAA did not apply? You believed you could intimidate a healthcare provider into violating federal law? You thought your badge granted you the authority to disregard constitutional protections?" Callahan was left without any credible defense, as none existed. "You are suspended, effective immediately," Morales stated unequivocally, "pending a full investigation. Surrender your badge and service weapon. You will be contacted by Internal Affairs." The subsequent investigation proved to be exceptionally thorough. Internal Affairs personnel interviewed Erica, meticulously reviewed the security footage on multiple occasions, and examined Callahan's case files from the preceding several months, uncovering a clear pattern of misconduct. This was not the first instance of Callahan making questionable requests for information without the requisite legal authorization. It was simply the first time such an incident had been so comprehensively documented. They identified 3 additional cases within the previous 6 months where Callahan had sought medical records, financial information, or security footage without obtaining warrants. In those prior instances, individuals had complied, either due to a lack of awareness of their rights or a perceived danger in refusing a police officer. Type facts if you believe this investigation should have been initiated years ago. Erica's situation differed because she possessed knowledge of the law and the fortitude to assert her rights. However, how many individuals had been subjected to similar violations prior to her, lacking that crucial understanding? How much of their private medical information had been unlawfully disclosed? How much evidence had been obtained in contravention of the Fourth Amendment? The investigation report was damning. It concluded that Callahan had contravened departmental policy, federal privacy regulations, and constitutional protections. It established a discernible pattern of behavior suggesting either a profound ignorance of the legal limitations of his authority or a deliberate disregard for them. The report recommended termination. The Seattle Police Department announced Callahan's dismissal 6 weeks after the incident at Erica's pharmacy. The announcement was concise and professional, stating that an officer had been terminated for violating departmental policies and federal regulations. While Callahan's name was not publicly disclosed, it was present in the official termination documents that Erica's attorney obtained through public records requests. However, the repercussions extended beyond his termination. Erica, under the guidance of David Park, initiated a federal civil rights lawsuit against Callahan personally and the Seattle Police Department, pursuant to Title 42 United States Code, Section 1983. The lawsuit alleged violations of Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches, infringements upon privacy rights, attempted intimidation, and threats of retaliation. The city's legal department conducted a thorough review of the case and the presented evidence. They meticulously examined the security footage. They scrutinized the investigation report. They calculated the potential jury award should the case proceed to trial. If the case were to reach a jury, they would witness a professional and composed healthcare provider being subjected to threats by a police officer for adhering to legal mandates. The verdict would undoubtedly be substantial, and the associated publicity would be severely damaging to the department. Consequently, a settlement was reached. The terms of the settlement remain confidential, but sources with knowledge of the negotiations indicated it was in the mid-six figures. More significantly, the settlement included provisions mandating the city to implement new training for all officers concerning HIPAA regulations, privacy rights, and the limitations of police authority within healthcare settings. Erica personally reviewed and approved the training materials before their finalization. The case also prompted a broader examination of the practices within the narcotics division. The question arose, how many other officers were making requests without proper legal authorization? How much evidence had been gathered through illicit means? How many cases might require reevaluation or even dismissal? The review revealed that several other officers had engaged in similar practices, though none to the extent of Callahan's actions. The department subsequently instituted new oversight protocols, requiring supervisors to approve all requests for protected information and mandating the documentation of legal authority prior to such requests being made. 6 months after the incident, Erica was contacted by a reporter from the Seattle Times who was researching a story concerning instances of police overreach in medical environments. The reporter had acquired relevant documents through public records requests and sought Erica's perspective. Erica agreed to the interview, choosing to focus her remarks on the systemic issues rather than her personal ordeal. The published report illuminated the widespread challenges faced by police agencies across the nation in harmonizing the imperative of law enforcement with the safeguarding of personal information in the digital era. Erica's personal experience was presented as a prime illustration of the consequences that arise when law enforcement officers lack understanding or disregard established boundaries. This influential piece was subsequently adopted by national media, igniting discussions within law enforcement communities regarding the critical need for enhanced professional development. Erica's pharmacy subsequently attained a notable status within circles concerned with healthcare privacy. She received invitations to address audiences at pharmacy conventions, speaking on the subject of patient confidentiality and the importance of being informed about one's rights. Furthermore, she developed educational materials designed for other pharmacies to equip their staff with knowledge concerning the permissible disclosure of information to law enforcement. She also provided consultation services to the American Pharmacists Association, offering insights on optimal procedures for managing requests from law enforcement. In Erica's predicament, what course of action would you have taken? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. However, the most profound effect of this narrative was experienced by the individuals within Erica's local community. News of the incident circulated widely. Patients who had previously harbored anxieties about obtaining their prescriptions, concerned about privacy and the potential misuse of their personal data, found a renewed sense of security. They became confident that their pharmacist would actively defend their confidential information, even when subjected to pressure from law enforcement. One such patient, a young woman reliant on HIV medication, confided in Erica months later that she had nearly sought a new pharmacy due to privacy concerns. Yet after learning about the encounter involving Officer Callahan, she realized she was in the right place. She was assured that Erica would steadfastly protect her sensitive data irrespective of external pressures. This narrative ultimately centers on this crucial aspect. It transcends a singular instance of a pharmacist defending their principles against a single officer. It underscores the fundamental entitlement to privacy in the realm of healthcare. It highlights the unacceptable reality that individuals should not be compelled to choose between receiving essential medical treatment and the apprehension of their personal information being compromised. It emphasizes that while police officers hold a vital position in society, their authority is not absolute. They operate within the confines of constitutional and legal frameworks. When these boundaries are transgressed, accountability must follow. Ryan Callahan never resumed his career in law enforcement. Following his dismissal from the Seattle Police Department, his attempts to secure employment with suburban agencies were largely thwarted by the detrimental impact of his for-cause termination. He ultimately transitioned out of law enforcement altogether. Some observers of the unfolding events considered this outcome excessively punitive, deeming the termination of a career over a single incident too severe. However, it was not an isolated incident, but rather a discernible pattern of conduct that had finally been sufficiently documented to necessitate disciplinary action. Erica continued to manage her pharmacy, earning even greater esteem from both her local community and her professional peers. She utilized a portion of the settlement funds to retire her law school debts and allocated the remainder to establish a modest legal assistance fund intended to support other healthcare professionals facing comparable circumstances who lacked the financial means for legal counsel. 3 years subsequent to the incident, Erica was invited to provide testimony before the Washington State Legislature concerning proposed legislation aimed at reinforcing patient privacy safeguards and clarifying the protocols law enforcement must adhere to when seeking access to medical records. Her testimony, delivered with composure and factual accuracy, proved pivotal in the bill's successful enactment. The pharmacy, the site of these pivotal events, remains situated in its original Seattle neighborhood, continuing to serve approximately 300 patients daily. The surveillance cameras, perpetually operational, continue their recordings. Erica Johnson maintains her unwavering commitment to patient privacy, a dedication as fervent as it was on that October afternoon when Officer Callahan entered her establishment anticipating unhindered cooperation. The display behind the pharmacy counter now features not only the mandatory notices from the pharmacy board, but also information pertaining to patient privacy rights. A prominent sign, presented in multiple languages, informs patrons that their medical information is protected by federal statute and that the pharmacy will never disclose it without appropriate legal authorization. While a small detail, patients recognize its significance and feel a heightened sense of security as a result. Do you believe more healthcare providers ought to undergo legal instruction similar to Erica's experience? Please share your perspective in the comments. This narrative holds considerable importance for several key reasons. Firstly, It vividly illustrates that rights are rendered ineffectual if individuals are unaware of their existence. Erica's actions were not inherently heroic or exceptional. They stemmed from a thorough understanding of HIPAA regulations, information accessible to anyone. However, her commitment to deeply comprehending these guidelines enabled her to protect not only herself but also potentially hundreds of patients whose information could have been improperly disseminated. Secondly, it demonstrates that individuals in positions of authority are not infallible and are subject to the law. Officer Callahan, despite 15 years of experience, evidently lacked a proper grasp of privacy regulations. His badge conferred certain powers but did not grant him the authority to disregard federal law. When he acted as though it did, there were repercussions. Thirdly, it underscores the critical role of documentation. Without the security camera footage, this would have likely devolved into a contest of credibility, with the word of a 15-year veteran police officer likely being favored over that of the pharmacist. However, with clear, indisputable video evidence, any dispute was rendered impossible. Fourthly, it brings to light systemic deficiencies in law enforcement training. Callahan was not an outlier. His actions reflected a common practice among many officers who would make requests without proper legal standing, relying on intimidation and confusion to achieve compliance. The fact that Erica's case necessitated a broader examination of these practices suggests that such violations occurred with regularity and were frequently overlooked. Finally, it serves as a potent reminder that advocating for one's rights extends beyond mere personal vindication. By refusing to yield to Callahan's unlawful demands, Erica was not solely safeguarding herself or her pharmacy. She was protecting every patient whose information he might have sought. She was establishing a precedent that other healthcare providers could reference. She was instrumental in instigating systemic changes that would offer protection to countless individuals in the future. The discourse initiated in Erica's pharmacy on that October afternoon expanded far beyond what either she or Officer Callahan could have envisioned. It led to policy modifications within the Seattle Police Department, influenced state legislation, and became a valuable educational resource in both pharmacy and law enforcement curricula. It empowered other healthcare providers to recognize and assert their entitlements. All of this transpired because one individual possessed knowledge of the law and refused to be intimidated into disregarding it. If you found this account compelling, here is what I encourage you to do. Share it with any healthcare professionals you know. Share it with individuals working in fields that involve the handling of confidential information. Share it with anyone who has ever felt pressured by figures of authority to act against their better judgment. This narrative warrants repetition because similar situations arise daily and the majority do not conclude with accountability. Please ensure you are subscribed to this channel as I frequently feature stories of this nature. These are accounts of ordinary individuals who understand their rights and steadfastly refuse to be intimidated. They are stories about accountability and the pursuit of justice, narratives that deserve to be heard. Kindly click the subscribe button now and leave a comment detailing the most significant lesson you have gleaned from Erica's experience. Is it the paramount importance of knowing your rights, the power of meticulous documentation, the necessity for improved training, or the value of standing firm even in the face of discomfort? Thank you for engaging with this story to its conclusion. Thank you for your concern regarding rights, privacy, and accountability. These narratives are vital, and your participation helps them reach a wider audience in need of their messages. Remember, your rights are only effective if you are aware of them and willing to assert them. Erica Johnson was aware of hers. Officer Ryan Callahan failed to recognize his limitations, and that distinction proved decisive. Until our next story.